Hi, I'm Nathan Jones. Today, you guys are hunting whitetails with me at the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club. I'm hunting the very tail end of the deer season, and today's show is proof that you can kill great deer in months other than November. The key to taking deer throughout the entire deer season is education. You need to learn and understand what deer are doing throughout the different phases of the whitetail life cycle. And once you do, it makes things a whole lot easier for you to consistently get right on top of wild deer. I'm glad you all decided to go hunting with me today. This is Dead Downwind's Wild Extreme. Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Dead Downwind. At Dead Downwind, 99% just isn't good enough. Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer. Height Point Broadheads, hunt with the best. And Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter. And also by these other great companies: Kicking Bear One-on-One, Mossback Game Calls, Copper John, Doinker Stabilizers, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Women Hunters, and Chateau Berry.
Awesome, that is Wild Extreme. Yes!
This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Dead Downwind. At Dead Downwind, 99% just isn't good enough.
Well, we got the stand in place, and this is awesome. We've got a big buck hitting this, and just the sign, obviously, a rug can't tell you exactly what a buck is, but to me the sign that's in here denotes a big mature deer. And I mean, he could be packing 120 inches on top of his head, he could be packing 200 inches, I don't know. But we do it for the love of the game, and when you can fox a big mature whitetail, I'm like anybody else. I like to shoot big racked deer. But I think, and I want to drive this point home, too many people lose sight of why we hunt. It's all competition or record books or whatever. Throw that out the window. And when you can throw all that out the window and hunt for the love of the game, you're going to get so much more out of it. I am now invisible to the deer's nose. We got one coming to the horns. I don't think he's what we want to shoot though, but he's right here. Well, you know what, guys? To me, that was, we won that battle. We put that little buck right where we needed him if he would have been shooter size. And that is what is so cool about hunting these white-tailed deer. And what is so another amazing thing, Who knows how far that buck came? But he came on a string and came within 12 yards of where I rattled. And it's just incredible how these animals can hear a sound like that, because I know I can't do it. Remember when I was a little kid, my mom would yell, I'd be running the other way. But actually that was for something different. But I got blistered a lot when I was a kid, but yeah, you can't do that nowadays to kids. But it didn't hurt me one bit.
It was early bow season. I was at the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club, and I was doing my best to put a good one on the ground.
We've got several does coming right to us right here. That doe's coming back here. She's gonna walk right up here.
I was set up in a travel corridor that had plenty of big buck sign. In fact, the sign that enticed me to hang my setup there in the first place was a rub line that a buck, or maybe I should say bucks, had created on a line of retired fence posts. But this morning, I had decided that if a shooter didn't show up, I was going to do the next best thing and implement a little QDM. And this doe was just too tempting for me to pass on.
I tell you, it is exciting. I love deer hunting. Yeah, what a great hunt this morning. Well, guys, it's recovery time. What a great morning we had here at Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club. Here's my arrow. Definitely put the hammer on this doe. There she is, right there. She's not going to have a drop of blood left in her.
My tight point broadhead had done an incredible job, putting the doe down quickly within sight of my tree stand.
I have never seen a deer opened up like this, guys.
This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer, and by Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. To get on top of deer throughout the season, and on purpose, not by accident, it's imperative to learn everything you can about deer and what they do throughout their life cycle. This was January, and I knew that the bucks would be hitting the food sources hard after having spent several weeks being a slave to their raging hormones. This was the last day of the Indiana archery season, and although we had worked extremely hard at hunting here at the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club, I had continued to come up empty-handed. Earlier, we had several close calls with good deer, but the bucks always seemed to have had a guardian angel watching over them. However, I knew at this stage of the season, the bucks would be far more interested in finding food than chasing does. So when I discovered a huge set of tracks crossing the dam leading in the direction of the corn stubble, it didn't take long to decide where to spend the last evening of the season. As I brushed the double bull in, I thought back to all of the hours we had put in. I employ a very aggressive style of deer hunting and never quit scouting, even in the middle of the season. Deer continually change their daily patterns due to a variety of reasons, but probably the most important to the deer is the current prevalent food sources. I'm constantly on the move, trying to stay ahead of the deer movement by forecasting where they'll be headed next. You never want to get stuck in a rut with your hunting patterns. I know in the past, I found myself falling in love with either a particular tree that was easy to hunt or a food source that had lots of deer sign in and around it. But in retrospect, I was just hunting deer sign and not the animals themselves. For me, deer hunting is not just sitting and hoping that I'll get lucky, but rather work intensive. In fact, the best deer hunters I know have a tremendous work ethic. But by pushing yourself to work harder, it produces more one-of-a-kind encounters at close range. The double bull was in place, brushed in, and the only thing left to do was cut shooting lanes. As I cut brush, I couldn't get an image out of my head of an antler that Kevin had found, not more than a mile from where we were getting ready to hunt this evening. Were the tracks crossing the dam left by this monster? We finally had all of the pieces of this setup in place, and now it was time to crawl into the double bull, spray down with our dead downwind, and get ready for a double shot of adrenaline.
There's a huge buck. He's coming right down to us. He's gonna cross this bridge right here.
This segment of Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes is being brought to you by Tight Point Broadheads. Now you're hunting with the very best. And by Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter.
Well, this is the last day here at Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club, last evening, because this is the last day of the 2006 archery season, where we have been running and gunning, hunting hard, and you get into late season like this is January, and the deer are in their feed patterns, and the food source changes, and a lot depends on the weather. It got warm, and so the bucks are just laying up. They're not moving early at all. So obviously we're on a cornfield food source, and a lot of good sign in here that deer have been walking across. We got a dam here. The deer have been walking across it to get to this field. So we're waiting here, getting ready to rock on one. Hopefully one of those big boys will be on his feet early. Rain set in, and I anticipate early deer movement. We'll see if I'm right, but we're going to give it everything we got all the way to dark. So stick in there with us. Let's see what walks across this dam to get in the cornfield.
Instead of letting up, the rain just increased. I have to admit that I was glad to be in the double bull that afternoon, for a couple reasons. The main reason was that the blind was allowing us to hunt where a tree stand wouldn't have, but also, I will admit, it wasn't a bad thing to be sitting in out of the rain.
He's coming right down to us. He's gonna cross this bridge right here. He is going to be right here.
My prediction of early deer movement came true, and unbelievably, the first buck to cross the dam was a shooter. I had anticipated does and smaller bucks being the first to pass our blind that afternoon, but instead, leading the pack to the field was a buck that I was definitely going to pull my Martin back on if possible. learned, however, never to count them down until you have your hands on it. And with this, the waning hours of the season, I was going to take the first shot that the buck offered me. Yes! He's hit hard there.
Guys, I'll tell you what. Out of the double bull, we smacked a monster. I mean, that is a nice deer. I hit him, I think, just a bit low and a little back. But we will have our hands on that deer here in a little bit. Oh my goodness. Right here, out of the double bull. I mean, we came in this afternoon, and like I showed you guys, those big tracks belonging to him were crossing this dam. Set the double bull, brushed again, and I mean brushed again 3 hours ago. What an incredible deer. What an incredible deer. Thank you, God. Man, what a way to end the season. And I'm telling you guys, this is the last day. Well, how about using a double bull right here at the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club, guys? You can see my Luminoc over there. Let's go look. This, great sign. Look at this arrow, guys. Look at this arrow. Well, the boss is here. Hey, Kevin, you will not believe what we shot coming over that ditch, man. All right, I'll tell you, it was a tremendous experience. He was walking right down, right here. And you tell me this isn't a bunch of blood coming out of a deer. And this is in the rain. Yeah. This is rain. Awesome. Awesome, awesome.
The buck had barely made it into the weed patch before going down for good.
Oh my goodness. You guys, look at this beautiful animal. Just a beautiful, beautiful deer, Kevin.
Nice.
Beautiful, nice, beautiful. Thank you. Well, I mean, you put us in here. And I'm telling you what.
You finished the deal.
I'm telling you what, and I hope we can do it again next year. You know, I mean, look at, I mean, the trophy potential, Kevin, on this place, and I mean, we've looked at those sheds you've picked up. Unbelievable. The one deer is actually world class, but look how strong this 4 is. I mean, that's 7 inches long, at least, you know, and he's just a good solid deer. I'm seeing here, guys, a little, I'll bet you this buck took a broad, I bet he did. Yeah, little short hair growing back like he had an abscess or something. But Kevin, I just can't thank you enough. And I'll tell you what, guys, if any of you guys want to hunt ducks, deer, turkeys, pheasants, this is the place to do it. This is the place, and this is not the exception to the rule. I mean, we got a great buck. Actually, I was hunting him for 2 days, and I don't know, it was just maybe a sixth sense, if you will. I just felt like the buck wasn't going to be in there, and we decided actually, today's it here in Indiana. The last few minutes. And I decided we were coming out to pull some blinds. We had some double bulls out, and we were going to start collecting blinds to get ahead of the curve here. And just happened to walk in, and here's these giant tracks across that dam, across the bridge. And here is, and I'm sure he was not the only one, because there's a couple different sets of tracks. But this one will do, Kevin.
Oh, that's it.
I am so proud of this deer, and I can't thank you enough. I'll tell you, this has been an incredible hunt.
I want to thank all of you for hunting with me today, and I also want to thank Kevin Gums of the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club for hosting me to an incredible whitetail hunt. You will find me next season working hard at the Kankakee Marsh Hunt Club to slam another one of Kevin's great bucks. We here at Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes are constantly working harder, striving to bring you the very best in hunting entertainment. And next season, it is just going to get better. I'll see all of you right here next time, where the slammin' will definitely continue. Dead Downwind's Wild Extremes has been brought to you by dead downwind. At dead downwind, 99% just isn't good enough. Martin Archery, making the most accurate bows for over 50 years. Double Bull Archery, home of the Dark Archer. Tight Point Broadheads, hunt with the best. And Huntress, scent prevention formulated for the female hunter. And also by these other great companies: Kicking Bear One-on-One, Mossback Game Calls, Copper John, Doinker Stabilizers, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Women Hunters, and Chateau Berdin.
Man, he got us a monster.
This has been a Wild Serenade production.